I don't really have a physical copy of Mario Kart World because I got the bundle, so this will serve. That code does not work, by the way. I already redeemed it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I think I said I was going to do something about Epic, and I may do it or not. I don't know. I keep going on if I really want to talk about Epic anymore. We're going to be talking about more or less my first impressions of Mario Kart 8. I would not really consider Mario Kart 8. Oh, man. I'm not used to a new Mario Kart game yet. We're going to be doing a sort of first impression video on Mario Kart World. So it's been out for about a little less than 2 weeks, probably about 2 weeks by the time you see this video. So yeah, let's discuss it. Also, this is not a video on the Switch 2 itself. I want to do one at some point, but I'm going to Europe and I kind of want to do a video about traveling with the Switch 2, and I feel like that's a pretty good experience for it. I may do a YouTube video on this channel or a personal channel I have not uploaded yet that's just called Jake Foster, so you know, you can do with that information as you will. Or if you want to watch it, I'd subscribe here and I'll talk about it here when eventually I release it. But anyway, yeah, so let's talk about Mario Kart World, and I want to get the first thing out of the way because I don't really feel like it's that important, but a lot of people are going to ask about it. The open world in this game, like the free roam mode, is terrible. I do not like the free roam mode in this game at all. I could barely get myself to play it for this video. I have like about 2-ish hours of Mario Kart World footage that I just recorded just for this video, and about 10 minutes of that is the open world because it feels more like a chore to me because that's how I unlock mirror mode. I haven't unlocked mirror mode yet because I don't want to play the open world. Yeah, there's not much to do besides the P-switch challenges, the coin challenges, and I don't remember the last thing. That's how awful it is. It's pretty barren actually outside the regular tracks. Like the tracks themselves I'll talk about are pretty good, but the like space in between them is pretty not good. It's pretty bad, I would say. It's pretty barren. It's just like roads. It's like you're like driving on the interstate or the motorway for some of my European friends. It's not like driving any Mario place. The cars are kind of annoying sometimes, and yeah, it's just pretty barren and boring. I think it was like an afterthought, like, well, we have this giant world, why not add some open world element to it? It doesn't really feel like it was meant to be like driven on all the time, and I think they just added some stuff to it. But yeah, I only played like, I played like 30 minutes of it in total, but like when I went back to record for it, I just was so bored I could not do it. So yeah, now that big thing is out of the way, it's mostly positive from here. The Grand Prix mode, it's Mario Kart Grand Prix. There's not much that's changed, although there's some stuff. The first thing is that there's now 24 racers. This applies to pretty much every mode, I think, which I think is pretty awesome because with Mario Kart World, more so than any other Mario Kart entry, the races, though, I'd say feel much more tight in the sense that the grid is much more compact. I don't know if that is because of the fact that there is just 24 racers, or if it's because they did some other gameplay stuff. Maybe they like tightened up the carts and whatnot. But because of that, making a mistake in Mario Kart World is much more costly than it has been in any other Mario Kart entry. I think like you make a pretty minor mistake, like maybe you go off the track a bit and you get slowed down in the grass, you can drop like 5 places immediately. It's crazy. But on the other hand, it's a lot easier to move up places if you get good items or you're just good. I didn't write this in my notes, I forgot, but drafting as well is now a thing. If you get behind another car, you can draft and you get a pretty sizable speed boost, like a lot more than you would think you would. So if you just get behind the right player and draft long enough, you could move up 4 or 5 places pretty easily. I did mention though about getting the right item, and I want to talk about items for a second. I wouldn't say there's really any new items. There's that like weird lunchbox thing that gives you different costumes based on where you are in the world, which I think is pretty cool. But oh yeah, the Mega Mushroom from Mario Kart DS is back. I just realized that. Anyway, there isn't really new items I really wanted to talk about. The biggest thing I want to talk about is the sandbagging. And if you do not know, Mario Kart decides what items you get based on what place you're in. and like what the likelihood you get each item is, etc. This game heavily favors players in lower places to get good items, much more than Mario Kart 8 does. I don't quite remember all of them because I've really only played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the past few years, but that game did have sandbagging, of course, every Mario Kart does, but not as much as this one. There's some items I think that pop up too much. I think the blue shell like can pop up 2 or 3 times in a single race, which is really annoying, especially in knockout mode, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, I don't like that specifically. I feel like that combined with the the risk that you get by being hit by an item being much higher because you lose many more places, especially in knockout mode, where that's a really big problem. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it also does add challenge. I wouldn't say it's like artificial difficulty like a lot of Nintendo games can sometimes be, but I would say it is kind of annoying, but I get it. It adds much more excitement and fear and emotion. No, I don't know about emotion, but you know what I mean. It's much more engaging than, if you just get into the head at the beginning and you just stay there and there's pretty much no risk to you besides a blue shell. Yeah, that'd be kind of boring. Very rarely, I mean, it does happen sometimes, very rarely in this game, and what I do like about this is you're not, like, so far ahead, or another player is so far ahead where it's, like, impossible to catch them. They're pretty much always within reach, meaning that, anything's possible. It makes it much more exciting. So, the other thing that's different about Mario Kart World from every other Mario Kart game in the series is that you drive from one race to another race. So, overall, I like this features, but I do have some mixed opinion on it. The biggest one being that you don't get to see a lot of the tracks after the first one. So the first race you do is a normal Grand Prix. You do a standing start, and you do the whole 3 laps. Once you're done with that race, you start your next race, and I think that one is usually 4 or 5 laps. It depends. But you only do 1 or 2 laps actually at the track. So your first 1 or 2, or your first 2 or 3 laps, depending on how many laps in the specific race there are on that like motorway kind of thing, and it's a lot of just straight lines. If you look at a lot of these, hopefully I pulled up in the footage, you could just see it's just a straight line with some scrolls in it, and I think that gets kind of boring. But it's a neat idea. I wish they had made it a little bit better, but you know what? It's something different, which is nice to see. It's not just all the same, but it's kind of a shame because some of these tracks are really nice, but you only go on them for like a lap, so you don't get to see much of it. But the actual tracks in this game, I have to say, are top notch. There's some I don't like. I can't remember all the names because I'm horrible with names. There's some tracks I'm not a fan of because I think that they're a little infuriating. The first one in the Special Cup I find especially annoying. I don't know why, I just do not like it. But overall, the track design is fantastic. They look amazing. They play really well. The game controls very well as well. I'd say it's much like better controlling than Mario Kart 8 was, and I thought Mario Kart 8 was a pretty good controlling game. Yeah, the tracks are amazing, and one thing I like about the tracks and pretty much everything in this game is the music is amazing. I think that this is one of the best original soundtracks of any Nintendo game. I think Smash Ultimate may have it, but Smash Ultimate isn't really an original soundtrack. It just has a lot of music from it, and you can listen to it, which I like, which you cannot do, unfortunately, in this game. I do not know why you cannot do that in this game. Nintendo, for the love of God, please, 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 please add it to Nintendo Music, or just add a way to listen to it in the game like you did with Smash Bros, where you could like put it in your purse and do that. I remember that on the Direct. It was kind of weird, but yeah, just please let us listen to the music. It's on YouTube now, which is awesome, but please add it to Nintendo Music. Some of the music in this game is really good. Like, I have not enjoyed music in a video game as much as nearly a lot of games. So yeah, Nintendo, please, 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 please do that. But yeah, going back to the tracks, this is the best Rainbow Road of any Mario Kart game ever, full stop. It is amazingly pretty. I know it's 1440p, but the 1440p upscaled to 4K looks fantastic on the Rainbow Road. It's so colorful. The colors really do a great job. The music, once again, fantastic. I've just actually listened to it on YouTube a few times because of how great it sounds. It surprises you. It's split up into like 4 sections, and each section is very different. You have sort of like a beginning one that sort of feels like just, I would say Rainbow Road from the from Mario Kart 8 Rainbow Road Nintendo 64 version. It then sort of goes into a water mode, and then it goes to, I can't remember what the middle section is, but it's more like traditional Rainbow Road style. And then the last one is sort of like the space station level from the Mario Kart 8 Rainbow Road. And I think that the whole time the music's great. It just sort of gives you a surprise after surprise. The map looks weird, and then but you don't really feel that it's weird when you actually race on it. So yeah, I by far think that this is the best Rainbow Road of any Mario Kart I've ever played. I mean, it's amazing. Everyone says it references every single Mario Kart Rainbow Road, but I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like I can definitely see 64, SNES, and Mario Kart 8, but those are the only ones I can really say for sure I know are there. It's a shame that Rainbow Road does not exist anywhere else in the game besides Versus Mode and the Time Trials mode. Like, I understand that it doesn't exist in Battle Mode, there's no real reason for it to, but like, why was it not in Knockout Tour? Any excuse I have to play Rainbow Road is great. And it's a shame you can't access it from the open world either. You have to be in a race to use it. And I don't know, it makes me sad. But the whole presentation of you getting shot up into it and from Peach's Stadium, and it was just really good. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's pretty much the Grand Prix mode. Not, too much that's changed just besides the 24 players and the going between the tracks. So yeah, now I'm going to talk about Knockout Tour. And Knockout Tour is what a lot of people talk about. And yeah, I'm going to pretty much have the common consensus here and say that Knockout Tour is just pretty darn fun. Basically what it is, if you do not know already, is it is a single race that is split up into 5 laps. But each lap is on its own track, and every single lap for the bottom 4 players go away. So yeah, it starts with 24, and then you start going 20, 16, 12, 8, and then the final 4, and then that's the winner. And, I feel like it's a really cool mode. It's sort of like Mario Kart Battle Royale in a way. I think it's the best showcase of the open world because it in the Grand Prix mode, it doesn't really feel like, it's like adding much. Like it's cool, but I don't really feel like it's like necessary. Whereas in the Knockout Tour, I feel like it works so much better because of that. It's because you're able to do one continuous race as opposed to like having to stop and go. Like I don't think the Knockout Tour would be nearly as fun if you had to stop. And you could say, well, you can maybe do it on one track, but I don't think that would be as interesting either. So the Knockout Tour, I think, like makes the open world worth it. Like I don't have an issue with the open world other than just it being boring on its own. But I feel like the Knockout Tour shows, like, yeah, this is a reason we want an open world, and that part of it is amazing. Not much notes on the other modes, or versus and time trial modes. They're more or less the same as before. You just pick a track and you race on it. But I will say that the versus mode is the only way to play some tracks, as regular 3-lap Mario Kart. As I said before, in the Grand Prix, some of these courses only last a lap or two, so there's no way to do like a normal race on them. So your only way to do that is the versus mode. And the last is battle mode. Battle mode is not as great as it was in 8 Deluxe. So like Mario Kart 8, not 8 Deluxe, Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, it uses the same racetracks as battle courses. Now, what's different is they are modified. They're not like completely modified, but they're set up in a way that they are blocked off, so it's like enclosed and rectangular. It's not like a regular track where you're going through. So it's much better than Mario Kart 8 in that regard regarding the battle mode. However, though, it is not as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because I do feel like some of the tracks are a little too big for battle mode, although there's 24 racers, so that makes more sense because there's literally double the grid, and that was going to cause more space. But you can kind of go like 30 seconds to a minute without seeing anyone, and when you only got 3 minutes, it's hard. The other issue, and this is the big issue, I don't really have an issue with the tracks themselves or the courses themselves. The big issue is that there's only 2 modes. There's only balloon mode and coin runners. The Renegade Roundup, the Shine, the Bomb Blast, all that is gone, and that to me sucks. Like, I'm not a big battle mode guy, so it's like not the biggest thing in the world that's gone, but it's disappointing. I don't mind that that they talk about some stuff, and we'll talk about what we took out, because sometimes I think it's good to take out stuff, but I don't really see an advantage to taking any of those out. Hopefully they add that with an update, like, or not DLC. I don't think that should be DLC. That should be an update, because that's just like sad that it's missing. Like, Mario Kart 8 to me probably had the best battle mode of all Mario Karts, and this is just a shame to see it gone. But something I really want to talk about with this game that I don't see a lot of people sort of talking about is that this game is not like a normal Mario Kart like a new normal Mario Kart release, because usually with Mario Kart it's usually more iterative, where like it builds upon the previous game. Sometimes they take some stuff out, but they pretty much leave most of the new stuff they add. Mario Kart 64 added the drifting boost and the weight classifications. Double Dash added kart selection. DS added retro tracks. Wii added bikes and tricks. 7 added kart customization, glider underwater, and 8 added zero gravity. Pretty much most of the stuff added in 7 and 8 are gone. So gliding is still there, but it's a little bit different. It functions much more like a plane, but it's not like super different. But kart customization is gone. It's back to just you pick the kart. Now, like, all the classifications are still there, but it's not like the Mario Kart 7 and 8 system where you pick the wheels, you pick the car, and you pick the glider. That's gone. You just pick a cart. Oops, sorry. You pick a cart, and that's what it is. And I kind of like that because I feel like towards the end it was getting like a little too complicated to do the kart customization. Like, I think it was cool at the time, but like at the end of the day it was just sort of like kind of hard to choose. You were able to like balance your cart out more than you are now. I feel like the balance of the cart, some of the carts are like kind of all over the place. Like, it's way too skewed. There's no like, it's harder to get like a middle ground, but I do kind of prefer this just because the last system was a little bit complicated towards the end. Underwater is gone. Like, you turn into like a jet ski and you ride on top of the water, so like there's no way around it. Zero gravity pretty much is gone. There's some parts that would have probably been zero gravity and like are kind of zero gravity, but the thing where your wheels fold and you like hit the bars, like, that's just gone. So I do kind of like this though, because I feel like with Mario Kart it was just sort of like building, and it starts to become complicated. Like, you know, some features get kind of boring, some features can interrupt like the possibility of new features. If you're stuck with certain features, like let's say zero gravity, that you need to implement, it could like change the level design, or it can affect how you design the levels because you need to account for that feature. Don't mind seeing some of that stuff go away, and just it, you know, being more of a fresh new take where, hey, we'll take some stuff away and change it, because, well, we've been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now or Mario Kart 8 in general for like 11 years. It came out in 2014. So I don't mind them sort of redoing some stuff. This isn't the first time Nintendo has done that with one of their franchises. Mario like has sort of changed a lot from going to 2D to 3D and then to 3D World, and then even like the new Super games are kind of different. And even within New Super Mario, I would say Super Mario World was like a new like rethinking of a new Super game. So like Nintendo does sometimes do that. They also have done it with Donkey Kong. The original Donkey Kong Country is pretty drastically different than what the Donkey Kong was at the arcade and on the NES. Donkey Kong 64 is kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, but it's pretty different than Donkey Kong Country even is. I haven't really played Donkey Kong Country Returns. I think I'm gonna buy the HD one if I like it enough. But you know, that's a little bit of a kind of like a reimagining of the original Donkey Kong Country franchise. And then we have the Donkey Kong Bonanza that's coming out in about a month. That is a more like Donkey Kong 64, but I haven't really seen it. The direct will have already happened by now or will happen shortly. And I mean, it looks like a pretty different game than what we've seen before. So Nintendo sometimes does this. Breath of the Wild is a pretty big departure from every other Legend of Zelda game, even more than Ocarina of Time was from the original Zelda games. So I think, you know, Nintendo has done that with some of these franchises. Although with Mario Kart World, this is much more subtle in the fact that it's not like a complete reimagining like 3D World was compared to the previous Super Mario games, or Breath of the Wild was, or even like Donkey Kong Country was. It's, you know, got more of the same guts than a normal Nintendo like reimagining, but it's reimagined enough because it takes some stuff away. It, you know, adds the open world, that element of driving to different tracks and not having the Grand Prix be separate individual things, that I feel like it's enough of a refresh. I wouldn't say that a lot of the core gameplay mechanics are different. I'd say most of the core gameplay mechanics are the same, but, you know, some of those things have been taken away. There's one Nintendo franchise I think that badly needs it after the last entry. Not because the last entry was bad, just because I don't think that the last entry you can really improve upon it much, and that is Smash Bros. So I don't want to talk about this too much because this is a Mario Kart video, but it's something that I've noticed that no one really has mentioned about what's going to sort of follow Smash Ultimate. And I do not think that this should be the base of the next game, especially because with Smash Bros, way more than Mario Kart, I would even say, it's very it's very innovative on the fact that it's just builds upon what the next game was. So Smash Melee built upon Smash 64. It added new stuff, added more characters. Smash Brawl added upon that. It added the final smashes. It added that story mode that we kind of never saw again. Smash Wii U, I don't really know what to say. It didn't really add like a lot. Yeah, and Smash Ultimate, I feel like kind of the same. It added so many characters and whatnot though, and it added a lot of stages, and it added the DLC and whatnot. But yeah, Smash doesn't really like change a lot, and like other than like new characters and new maps and sometimes a new story mode. I feel like this is the Nintendo franchise that needs the most like kind of imagining, and I don't really mean like as much as like they did with Breath of the Wild and whatnot. I don't think it needs an open world, for example, but I do feel like, because this is the same thing with Mario Kart 2, because the last Mario Kart game, which is very iterative, like a very iterative series, because you can play it on this system, that means that this is more of a chance you have to take risks, because you're not giving up anything, because you can always just play the old one. Smash Ultimate, like every Smash game before, technically, the new characters feel much newer in the fact that they have much nicer animations. The movesets match their character types much more. Their final smashes are not as generic. And then when you go back to the characters that have been in Smash for a while, they are very not that. Mario has basically had the same moveset for, what is it now, 25, 26 years? So yeah, I feel like that's an area they can go back. But, it's kind of hard to do that when you have, 70-something characters now? Redo it, because if you change those, you have to rebalance everything and whatnot. It's not really there. But I also feel like I also feel like Smash Ultimate kind of has a lot of bloat. So I think kind of taking it down to basics, redoing some of the original characters, and then deciding what characters bring back in is a pretty good idea for whatever the next Smash Bros. Game is. Maybe changing the gameplay formula up, so it's maybe changing the speed of the game, maybe changing some of the fighter moves, changing all that kind of stuff. More than was done for Mario Kart World, but much closer to Mario Kart World than what was done with pretty much every other Nintendo reboot franchise. Just because, you can play the Smash Ultimate on the Switch. I hope they do an update so it improves the graphics. I hope they can get this game to run in 4K. But I don't feel like, since we have the ultimate version of the original Smash, I feel like taking Smash in a new direction. Maybe if Sakurai doesn't want to do it, maybe with a new director. He's getting tired of it, I'm sure. We could see, a new take on Smash that's, takes some of the old and then combines it with the new. And I think that's also another cool thing, because it will also give newer players a chance, because the game hasn't really just been evolving. It's going to be a sort of a new thing that newcomers and veteran players are not going to have as much of a gap as they do now, because they're sort of both learning some new things. But this video is not about Smash Bros. It's about Mario Kart. And, well, what's my takeaway for Mario Kart World? Overall, I would give Mario Kart World an 8 out of 10. I kind of wanted to give it a 7, but I thought it was too low, and I wanted to do 7.5 because I thought the open world was kind of bad. But you know what? You can ignore the open world. The main reason I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is because I do not like some of the open world sections, when you're going in between tracks on the normal mode. I think on Knockout Tour, the straightaways and stuff like that aren't as bad, because it's easier to get ahead on some of those spots, although you can kind of go away. But the battle mode also being as bad as it is the reason I can't give it a 10 out of 10, and that's a pretty bad downgrade. from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So like, I know I said, well, this is a different game. Yeah, I know, but like there's no reason not to have kept everything there other than just you didn't feel like it or you were too lazy to do it. But besides those two things, the tracks themselves are great. The music is fantastic. The Rainbow Road is the best Rainbow Road in the series, and the game looks I mean, the game, like the graphics, it looks amazing. It's the 4K 60 FPS, it's so smooth. And besides the few things I said that could be fixed with updates or DLC, I hope we kind of get an expansion pass. I don't know, like, it will be the same world. Maybe we could get like a second world with the expansion pass. I feel like that would be good DLC, and I feel like a few free updates as well could, you know, make this game a possible 10 out of 10 replacement for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But even if it doesn't, besides the battle mode, which I do think needs to be improved, it's fine. I don't think every single thing in this game needs to be a replacement on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So yeah, what do you guys think about Mario Kart World, the Switch 2, what I said about Smash, any of that stuff? Please let me know. Sorry I haven't really done like a normal like talking about stuff video in a while. The last one I did, like the Switch unboxing, was kind of like that. The Epic video obviously was nothing like anything I've done before. And you know, I may do some different stuff on this channel or some of my other channels. Please check out mostly Gamester0565, and unless I don't see a reason to do the you know, a Europe vlog at all, or I don't see a reason to upload it elsewhere, I'll upload it here. But I haven't decided if I'm going to record that or not. It depends on how busy I am and if I feel like it's good enough to show. But yeah, I will take advantage of that to see how the Switch 2 is on the go. I think I want to wait a little bit longer to talk about the Switch 2, because right now I don't really feel like there's a much long-term to talk about other than the actual hardware. I feel like we need some more games and whatnot. But you know, there are some things we can talk about. I could talk about Epic Universe again if I wanted to, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that again. But you know, maybe we'll take a break from Nintendo again for a little while. But it's all up in the air. Donkey Kong's coming out. I don't know. I had some video ideas too that became obsolete because of the first Nintendo Direct, not the Switch 2 Direct, but the one before that. That was for the regular Nintendo Switch. I had wrote down very badly that I wanted Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven to return. They both did, so you know, that became obsolete. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned to this channel and my other channels, and I will see you guys soon. I promise this. Okay, I promise this time. Bye.